Let's get to Josh Ward of the Sports Animal. Good morning, Josh. How are you?
Good morning. Doing great. Great to be with you.
So, next man up. What does that mean to you? Because there are times when I've heard the term next man up from namely John Chavis, and he was saying that and it sounded good, but at the end of the day, it was next man down because it was during the season and there was a guy that was injured. But in
hmm
this case, in the point of your column, next man up doesn't look bad for the Vols at all.
Yeah, it's more of the cycle that you go through as a program because players have to leave at some point. And sometimes they decide to leave early. You actually want guys that are going to leave early because that means they have NFL opportunities and they've probably succeeded in your program. So I was thinking about the 1990s. And if you think about the mid to late 90s, that incredible run, the amount of wins Tennessee had is going to be difficult to replace. I don't think any program should really have that kind of standard or expectation unless you get there and then you're trying to hold on to it, like Alabama or Georgia, in terms of how many games Tennessee won. But the culture of that program, and it had been established before that and then really took off, was they had a lot of talent that came in, guys succeeded, they held each other accountable, and then as more talent came in, those guys that were leading the way showed the younger players this is how it's done. So then when those younger players had their opportunity after guys left, the next man up knew what to do. So, yes, next man up often is going to talk about somebody goes down with an injury, you need somebody to step up. And if you recruit at a high enough level, you can have 4, maybe 5-star players that are next in line. But right now for Tennessee football, because of the last 2 years, you've seen players buy into what's happening at Tennessee, develop within the program, succeed, which has led to more wins for Tennessee, and then turn that into NFL opportunities. Back to back years having 5 guys drafted. This year having 5 players taken in the first 3 rounds. Only Alabama had more, but they're gone now. So Hendon Hooker leaves. Joe Milton is the next man up. Jalen Hyatt leaves. Squirrel White is one of the next men up. There are a number of guys at receiver that will have a chance. Ramel Keaton gets to take on an even bigger role. Same for Brew McCoy. And I think on the defensive side, Byron Young leaving the year before, Matthew Butler leaving, showed Amari Thomas what to do. So Tennessee is in a position where talented players are up next. And on defense, Joshua Josephs is a younger player that will have more of a chance this year. And there's some veterans returning too, which I brought up in the column. And that's what you need to happen every year to sustain success.
Your next man up percentage, what do you think are transfers as opposed to actual organic players coming through the program?
Yeah, there will be a transfer element for sure. Like Jeremy Banks leaves and Keenan Peely is going to come in and help with that. But so will Aaron Beasley. I look at the defensive side at linebacker and I start the conversation with Beasley as a leader, but Peely can be a playmaker and as a veteran, somebody that takes on a leadership quality. Same with somebody like Gabe Judy-Lally coming in at corner, but that's more to fix an issue where they need more talent to make a difference from where they've been the last couple of years. And then on offense, Dante Thornton comes in and will have a chance to play right away. But I would be really surprised if Squirrel White does not find an opportunity in this offense day one, meaning the Virginia game and playing all season long. So next man up, I think most often will be players who were in the program the year before. And also, you'll recruit some freshmen that are so talented, they come in and they make an impact right away. But that's often going to be the exception, not the rule. Not everybody is Eric Berry. Very few are Eric Berry or Trey Smith being able to come in as true freshmen and making a difference immediately.
So, Josh, the most famous next man up story for Tennessee, everybody knows, is 1998 Jamal Lewis goes down. Travis Henry is just right there, ready to wait in the wings. If there is a position where Tennessee has that this year, what would it be where there's a star player and there is a very good backup that nobody knows how good he is, but he would reveal himself if the star player got hurt?
I would say if that's the case, it's maybe in the secondary. It depends. Like if they listen to us talk about Cameron Seldon in the running back room, like go back there, and I wrote about him a couple weeks ago. He probably won't be that much of a surprise. Showed himself at the spring game, but he's a true freshman that will have an opportunity, or maybe Dylan Sampson. But I would say in the secondary, you had a number of guys come in this spring that are talented, have ability, and may play early, but are any of them going to start right away? Again, I'm always skeptical with freshmen, but as the season goes long, maybe they could have more of an opportunity. Nico's too big of a name to use. So I would probably quarterback on the secondary with the number of guys depth that they have added. That could be an answer. The other idea might be somebody, depending on whether he is a starter or not, Elijah Herring at linebacker, second-year player who I think the coaching staff likes a lot. But if Beasley and Peely are leading the way, if it turns out that way, Herring could be a, quote, next man up.
Please click that like button. Helps us bring more people into the show. If you haven't subscribed yet, do that. He is Josh Ward. Go to offthehooksports.com for more. I'll tell you who needs to be a next man up is somebody at right tackle. And I think I know where they're going to go, but replacing Darnell Wright is not going to be real easy.
Yeah, and in the column, I mentioned guys that are already out there and they can make a name for themselves for the draft this upcoming year, Cooper Mays and Javonte Spraggins. But no doubt, Wright is a player that's going to be difficult to replace because of the importance of his position and how good he is. He was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Tennessee hasn't had one of those since Eric Berry 13 years ago. So Gerald Mincey is a guy that came in as a transfer, was probably better than I expected him to be, coming in right away, helping on the left side. He makes the switch over to the right side like Darnell did a year ago, and expecting him to be that good would be unfair. Or if it's Crawford, would be unfair to expect Darnell Wright level play because, again, he's a top 10 pick and he's a 5-star prospect out of high school. They're hoping John Campbell can be that transfer answer that we're talking about earlier. But the guy that steps into that right tackle position has to be good enough. Darnell Wright good would be unfair, but good enough to keep Tennessee's offensive line at a high enough level, similar to where it was a year ago. 2 years ago, the offensive line really struggled to protect the quarterback, and it held the offense back. Last year, it made a big jump, and so did Tennessee's offense.
I would also, another name that I would mention, I don't think you did, but you mentioned several was perhaps Andre Currick as well. I would throw that out there, Caleb.
Yeah, and that's probably at left guard. Let's see how that competition goes. Does Addison Nichols get into that competition more in the spring? Is there a surprise player that comes available in the transfer portal? As that was the position group that Josh Heupel mentioned in the last couple of weeks when he was asked about the transfer portal. Said, you want to take the best player you can if you think he can help, which is true. But if we can find some veteran help on the offensive line, that would factor in. But yeah, Carrick for sure is a guy that would factor in as a transfer from Texas and could be the starter at left guard this fall.
This is way too early, and Caleb, I want to jump to you, but Addison Nichols feels like that guy who can back up at several positions, center and guard, and is about a year away from being a really good player to me, based off people I talked to. You?
That was the sense in the spring, but I did hear good things about him as the spring went along. So let's see what the summer does for him, and let's see what kind of opportunity he gets. If the coaches see that he's continuing to get better and they love his ability, we know that's the case, then he could end up winning that left guard battle, and he's in a position similar to Jerome Carvin where he wins the starting left guard position and serves as the backup center where they would shift him over if Cooper were to go down. I don't know that that's going to be the case at all, but that would, to me, be his best opportunity to get on the field right away. But he's a player that has an important summer ahead. At some point, I think Addison Nichols is a starter for Tennessee. I just don't know that it's against Virginia this fall.